Hey guys, so we're going to be doing Linux privilege escalation. This is task 11, and I had so many issues with this. I had to create a second video. So anyhow, I'll just explain it as we go through it. So what I just did was I SSH'd into the rhost, the victim computer, right? And then after SSHing into it, I then ran the cat etsy exports, which enumerates and allows me to see mountable folders that have the no root squash enabled, right? And once I checked this, I was like, okay, let's do this at the temp directory. So I went to cd space / temp, and I ls'd it, and I was like, okay, this is a good place to start. And then what I did from there was I then opened up another terminal on my computer, all right? And then from there, I created a directory called beach. So let me go back to the command that I used for that one. Okay, so I went to I put make dir space temp beach, okay. And that created a directory within the temp folder on my computer called beach. Then I tried to mount from my computer to the other computer. I put sudo mount and then space tac 0rw IP address of the computer I'm trying to mount to, and saying, okay, when we mount, I'm going to mount to their temp directory, and they're going to be mounted to my temp beach directory, right? And you have to run with sudo, otherwise you will get this error. Here's what happened when I didn't run it with sudo. So once it mounted, then I went to check to see if I was able to create a folder. And once I created that folder, what I was really looking to see is if they can see the folder I created. So I created a nano test document, all right, inside of the temp beach folder on my computer. And so it's right here. Then from the victim computer, what I did was I ls'd from the temp directory on the victim computer, and I can see the test document there. So now I know, okay, they're both connected to one another. I can see that test document, so that's good. And now we're gonna go from here. Okay. Mounting it was a pain, so glad we got that out of the way. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna create a nano. All right, so from the temp directory inside the beach folder I made. All right, so let me ls so you can see what's in here. You can see I just made this beach folder, right? Like I mentioned earlier. So now I'm gonna nano NFS. So I'm gonna create an NFS executable. So first we gotta compile it. So it's gonna be nfs.c, and then nano opens. So once nano opens, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna then copy my commands in here. By the way, I'm posting the commands in the comment section. All right, and then click Control O to save as an Oscar, enter, Control X. All right. All right, so next what we're gonna do is I am then going to compile this. So I'm going to run the commands that they mentioned, which is sudo gcc, which will compile it, and it'll output NFS, which will then change the permissions to make it an executable. So I'll do this from my computer and press enter. All right, so now that it's compiled that, we'll go ahead and set the permissions. To set the permissions, I will go ahead and enter sudo chmod +s to make that file executable from my computer. All right, so now if we ls, let's take a look here. We've got the NFS.c, which we compiled into a executable we could run called NFS, which is here in red for some reason. It's in red, so great, it's there. Let's go ahead and see the permissions of that file for my computer. NFS. Okay, so this is the important part, is once you finish running all this, and by the way, you had to run the previous commands as sudo. If you didn't, this is where you're gonna run into an issue. You see how it says root right there? It's gonna run this as root. And so we set the SUID to run this executable as root. And when it runs that executable, it will then open a shell for us to interact with, and that's gonna be a root shell. So if you see something like Karen here, you need to go back, make sure that you put in sudo commands like I did up here. Otherwise, it's going to open as like Karen, right? And that's not what we want. And that S right there is to indicate that the SUID is set for root. So now that that's all set and done, I'm going to then, from my victim computer, go to the temp directory, which if you haven't already, just CD into the temp directory like I did here. And then after you CD into it, just do an ls. And now you can see the same documents and folders you can from my actual computer, right? So here's my computer, and then here's the computer. So they're mounted, they're connected to one another. Essentially, when you mount a drive, it's kind of like sticking a USB into a computer. When you stick that USB into a computer, your computer will automatically detect a USB is connected and then mount that drive so that it's accessible and you can do what you need to do and transfer files and folders and all that. Well, essentially what we did is we set up our own mountable drive, we connected the two, and now those two are able to share documents and folders through that mountable drive, which in this case is Beach. It was Beachhead, but then I changed the name. So, and I'll provide these in the comment section. So now what we're going to do from this computer is we are then going to do to run this executable. Right, so by running it, it's going to give us that shell we need to finish the rest of this. And there you go. So now you see root comes up. Great, we have root. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back a directory. So cd back dot ls cd home ls and then cd into mats. ls, and there's our flag. So we're going to cat flag 7.text, and then there you go. You got the flag there. So now what you do is you can go ahead and copy that over here and input that for the flag. You got the root and how many shares were on the drive. As we see in the very beginning, when we're enumerating the cat.exe exports, we seen 3 mountable shares. They're right here. We could have used either one of these. Typically, temp is the best place to go starting off because we know we can run executables from temp. So we typically won't run into permission issues, especially with TRYHACKME. So that's that. Please like and subscribe. This video took me a good minute because I was running into issues. And I'll see you in the next one.